Thank you for visiting the channel. A number of sessions on Program Director certification are being prepared by our crew. To be clear, this course is only for reference and to increase your knowledge whether you are a novice or an expert. The vivop.org has no affiliation with us and neither endorses nor supports us. Before going with the session, I would advise not to skip any earlier sessions in order to have a clear understanding of the material. Product support activities. Product support activities may include many research and development practices. Product support is not a quick and easy stage and may require the involvement and knowledge of the BOPM office and its rapid intervention and decision making. Product management adjusting. Adjusting processes, practices, and tools is strongly recommended by the BIVOP. The BIVOPM and BIVOPTM offices may work together in adjusting the product management and development practices. Scope management. The BIVOP suggests that the scope of a project is not fixed and may often evolve. Understanding the scope as a fixed list of goals should not be perception of organizations interested in the project. In many real-world situations, scope constantly changes, and this does not necessarily have to be seen as something to be avoided at all costs. Many interested parties and individuals may be involved in the scope definition, and this may lead to an extensive list of demands. The scope of the project may need to change with time. Scope management may include the following activities: gathering initial information, scope definition, scope validation, scope change management. Now let us talk about gathering initial information. Gathering initial information may require collaborative work between the stakeholders interested in the project. Any parties interested in the project, their representatives, or such knowledge about the project needs. This process is planned and conducted with the presumption of productivity, and each party has the following for the presumptions. Group sessions to define the scope of the project where more than one stakeholder is present and can provide validation of the discussed needs. Scope definition. Scope definition details the collected information into a more organized and formal list. Now let's talk about scope validation. A single project may end up with an extensive list of scope items and they all may be requested as important or critical for the project. Classical project management practices present the term not in scope, which usually means that a topic should not be seen as something to be included in the project. The scope of the project can be extensive. The business value may not be clear. The VOP suggests that instead of out of scope themes, prioritization of all the items of the project scope may be applied instead. If an interested party has mentioned a topic that can be considered as out of scope, it can still have some value. That's why it should not be ignored, but assessed, prioritized. Scope prioritization. Each scope item has a priority attribute which may have following values: definite, very likely, possible, unlikely. The scope of the project in the form of prioritized items can be useful after certain ideas evolve and the need of these items increases. It makes project teams and stakeholders aware of what can be implemented later on in the project. The collected formal list of scope items need to be double checked and agreed upon by all interested parties. Scope change management. First and on-time realization of projects depends on the stable and non-variable scope. Classic project management understandings teach that the scope of the project should not be changed since it is defined for or the scope should accept minimum modifications. Changes in scope are often related to causing delays, rework, and waste of resources. Under real-world conditions, the scope of projects usually changes after its initial definition and approval. The frequency of modification may depend on factors such as changes in user and business needs, technical feasibility, and other topics described in the business value oriented program management section. Changes in the scope of the project are generally considered to be important, especially in dynamic, innovative, and complex products where the real users and stakeholders provide frequent feedback on early version of the product. The following practices may be applied to minimize the damage of future scope changes. Initial detailing of needs, creating and evaluating sketches, diagrams, prototypes, and other materials that may present the expected product clearly. Assessing the emerging changes of the scope so project teams are focused on the high prioritized change, ignoring changes if they are not critical for the project. The low frequency of the project's scope change may depend on factors such as defined clear goals, understanding and applying prioritization practices, understanding of minimum value viable product principles, dedicated stakeholders, competences and skills, mature management roles. Changes in the scope should not always be considered as negative events. When an early version of a product is released to real users, valuable feedback about the business value of the released version may be provided by the users. The current version may not cover usability and accessibility level, or it might have gaps or in important functionalities which could have been developed in a way different from users' expectations. The current version of the product can be a source of new ideas and needs for the users. Any requested changes to the scope of the project may be processed by the following steps below. Now the steps are assessing the requesting party, assessing the importance of the change request, assessing the impact of the project, documenting the change request, approval or denial of the change request, planning for implementation, communicating the plan with requesting party, implementation, validation. In the next video, we'll go through the above steps in detail. Thanks for staying to end of this session. Please keep motivating us by subscribing our channel, hitting like, and also do comment and share with your friends and relatives. See you in the next section.